This is Erica Apathy, and I am recording my UBD for EdTech 628. So I did my unit on the life cycle of a salmon. So I started with the overview, which gives a kind of brief overview of what's going to be the students will be learning and um, what end goal they are to meet at the conclusion of the unit. So the goal is that the given activities allow students to explore some aspect of the cultural, economic, and personal interest and relationship to the salmon. And at the end, they will create a portfolio using a blog to demonstrate their learning, and this will also be a part of their presentation. So then moving on to stage one, I have over here on this left side the goals or the standards that this unit meets. So we have science as inquiry and process, concepts of life science, Alaska Technology Standard, ISTE Standard, and Alaska Cultural Standard. As we shift over to the right side, we have the goal again written here, as discussed before. Then we move down to the understandings. These understandings are what the student will learn and understand at the conclusion of the unit. So this is that salmon go through a specific life cycle and what role that the salmon play in Alaska culture. The essential question is, what is the life cycle of a salmon and how are salmon important to Southeast Alaska? Moving down, students will know the 6 stages of the salmon life cycle, the different species, and what role they play in traditional Alaska Native culture. Moving to the next row, students will be skilled at identifying each stage of the life cycle, identifying why salmon are important to traditional Alaska Native culture, their own personal relationship with salmon, and creating a portfolio using an online blog to collect their work and then use it to present. Moving on to stage 2, this is the performance tasks. So the first formative performance task will be a pretest. This test will be given at the very beginning of the unit to explore what the students already know or what prior knowledge they are coming into the unit knowing. Then we move on to formative, so I will have a true-false test. And this will be focused on exploring true-false answers and seeing where their knowledge is. This will be done with clickers to incorporate that technology piece, and the information gathered from the answers of the clickers responses will be included and used as an extension for graphing or percentage for older students, and then as a topic for a writing activity. Students will then correctly label a diagram of Alaska salmon, so the parts of the salmon. Self-assessment, this is where students will create a KWL chart. So they will start in small groups and they will work on the know and the want to know section. And in their group, after they work in their small group, they will need to come join the rest of the class and find and explore and kind of work as a whole class to create one KWL chart that will be added to throughout the unit. Moving on to this performance assessment, students will give students the assignment to cut and paste a life cycle, and this will be done throughout the unit to see how they're progressing. For an assignment, teacher will read Salmon Boy. After reading this book, students and teacher will discuss how salmon are important to Alaska culture. The teacher will record the answers on a large notepad, and they will discuss the idea of storytelling and vocal storytelling, and this will lead into students illustrating and creating telling their own story or version of the Salmon Boy story. At the end of the unit, students will be giving a post-test that will be compared to their pre-test scores to see how much new information they learned. So other evidence, we will have class discussions. All students will be expected to participate in those discussions, as well as in any activities we do. We also will have writing assignments throughout the unit, so students will be expected to perform to their grades expectations. So this is a rubric that will be used to grade their life cycle portfolio in their presentation. The orange ones focus on the project aspect of this, of the final project, and then the blue ones correlate to either courtesy and respect, and then their presentation. And then there's also a technology piece hiding down here. So then we move on to the stage 3. So this is the learning plan. These are the learning activities. If I've already discussed a learning activity, I will skip it, but I will mention which ones I am skipping. So previously, we talked about the pre-test. We talked about the KWL chart, and then the true and false questions. Again, they will be used with the clicker and the smartboard. Students will do a bead activity. This activity involves having the students make a bracelet that represents the salmon life cycle. Each stage will have a bead that represents it, and they will have to create the bead in the bracelet in the correct order. And this will be an opportunity for students to take their knowledge outside of the classroom and kind of be a teacher to other people and maybe their family. So number 5, they will be labeling the parts of the salmon. This one might be a little bit tricky for younger students because they may not be familiar with the vocabulary that's being used. So if that is true, they will be able to use the Promethean board, and this will allow them to work together to figure out where each label goes instead of trying to focus on reading the word. Number 6, students will complete a missing word worksheet, again practicing that vocabulary. Students will learn a life cycle dance. So this is not so much a dance as a little mnemonic device on how to remember the life cycle of the salmon. So this will be talked about a little further down in this presentation. Number 8, this is about salmon writing, again spoke about earlier. Then more for number 9, more related to reading Salmon Boy, and then they will discuss how this is important to Alaska Native culture, salmon, and storytelling. So number 10, in this activity, students will need to research ways that salmon are important to them or their community. So ideas could include the animals that eat food, the people that eat food, the cultural identity associated with salmon, income, fishing, that sort of thing, and then festivities, and then art that are related to salmon. All this, students will need to decide, pick those, and they will need to research those, type something up on the computer after they have a proofread and final version of a paragraph that they want to include. They will also need to have a picture that they find on Google or Yahoo, one of those, and you will see a completed example below. So then for storytelling, students will need to, after reading the Salmon Boy story, students will be given each 1 or 2 pages of the story. They will be given the assignment to illustrate it, and they will be graded on their creativity. And what we're looking for is more to have students not just focus on copying exactly what is given in the printed version of the book, but kind of make it their own. And then as they're doing this, again with all the other assignments, they will be needing to have photographic documentation of all of these to be included in their portfolio. Whoops. So the last one here is their final portfolio. So after they have accumulated all of these assignments and all of these activities and have documented them, they will need to be put in a page on our class's blog. And this will be a platform that they can explore other students, what other students have completed during the unit, and it will be a fun way to look back because it will always be accessible to them. It will also be used during their presentation to show what they learned and what they learned about. So moving down here, so this just talks about how the format that will use to make the slide story. There's more information here. And this is a example that I created of a poster. So I took 6 main ideas and I researched them a little bit, wrote a little paragraph, and then found pictures, attached them to a border, and then glued them onto this paper, and this would be unphotographed and included in my final portfolio. Then I have an example of a writing piece I did. So this is an example of a portfolio that I created that includes all the activities that I did for this unit. So students who complete this unit would have a similar looking blog post, and I have all my activities that I completed posted there along with a little description. And if you would like to go and look at the completed portfolio, this is the website that it's located at. Let's see. Yeah, I think that is everything. Thank you.